June 21st is National Asking Saves Kids Day, which encourages parents or caregivers to ask questions whether firearms are accessible to children. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, firearm-related injuries in children increased during the pandemic, and firearms are the leading cause of death for those aged 19 and younger. UW health experts say to keep your unloaded weapons in a locked box or safe, and ammunition should be locked away separately.
Children by nature are curious, and as they gain more physical independence, they can find things. So that gun that you have hidden in the top of the closet under a stack of sweatshirts is probably not as hidden as you think, but we need to keep them safe. In doing so, we need to keep our bullets and our guns separate